Hello and welcome back to Talk Seagulls. And we're back in the Caxton Arms in Brighton again, and frustrating evening, it's got to be said. Fresh off it as well this morning in Brighton. But Brett, it's nice to see you again, mate. Talking. I mean, this isn't a negative podcast. I've got to say, we've actually on the back of 2 wins as well. And this isn't an intentional not filming the wins and then filming after the loss. It's just how it's come about, trying to squeeze everything in this fixture run. But yeah, mate, how are you feeling after all of it?
Yeah, well, firstly, with us, I thought we played without creating loads of clear-cut chances. I thought we were actually the better team yesterday. So off the back of 2 wins on that performance against Arsenal, I'm feeling quite positive.
I didn't expect to be coming into this with 6 points, to be fair.
No.
I thought with how the run was before that, it was looking pretty rough. And you're right, actually, I thought we played pretty well with, as you say, limited chances. We'll get into that. But obviously, we all know what's stolen the headlines this morning, and I think I might as well just get into that without any more sort of waffling, because it was such a big talking point. It was. I was listening on Talk Sport, I was listening to like social media on the way over, just trying to get as much sort of neutralised content as I physically could, because I wanted to not come on here and moan like a Brighton fan would. I wanted to kind of just dilute my mind a little bit. But as of circa 11 p.m. last night, my head was on Mars, mate. I don't know about you.
Same with me, and I'd gone through my Twitter notifications. It's just Arsenal fans piling on in on me because I was just moaning about them time wasting, and like normally the team at the top of the league, they get respect, and you think, oh, they're good, they're top, they deserve to be there. But it was so insufferable to watch. Just the amount of time wasting, cheating, especially David Raya, who I think is one of the better keepers in the league, and to play like that. No, it's a bit anti-football, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the question of the podcast, is our Arsenal anti-football, which is a shame on a Brighton channel. But I think it's a topic worth debating regardless, because I think it's a big one. And I got sent after last night. So for context, Arsenal, I think, had the ball in play for 50-something minutes in total, 52, I want to say it was. And that is the lowest of this season, I believe. But on average, and you might find this fascinating, Brighton are actually 3rd or 4th lowest in the Premier League for time spent in a game. And I was trying to contextualise this stat because everyone was saying, oh, Ryan, you've gone quiet now that these stats have been thrown at you. And it was like, no, just wait. And I'm going to get to it. I just needed to understand the context. And from memory anyway, a lot of games that we play, it seems to be the teams that play expansively, and this is just a theory, but the teams that play expansively, it seems as though the way of sort of opposing that is to play this sort of anti-negative football that is time wasting, cheating, diving, taking as much physical time out of the game as you can and slowing it down. Killing momentum, basically. And that's happened against us a lot this season, which in my eye is how I'd view that, because I don't really think that Brighton are that sort of team at all, to be honest.
No, I totally agree. I think like I said, we played, was it Bournemouth that were particularly really bad? I'd never had them like that before, like especially like the reputation Areola had. And then we've obviously played Villa, Fulham twice.
Yeah, Villa were terrible.
So that's probably why our games are like that. But we haven't learnt to time waste properly, like I think, where our game management's been pretty bad, and that's why we've lost points when we have at the end. So yeah, with the stats quite low for us, I think it is more the opposition, because it's not just minutes we've wasted, it's minutes in the game, and obviously this Arsenal game is going to take it down even more.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're looking at even Brentford at our place. I think Villa definitely, Bournemouth definitely, Arsenal definitely. There's so many teams in there that have done it to us. Everton as well, and this is my point. I'm trying to neutralise this conversation because it's so easy after last night for me to come on there and go, Arsenal are a joke, and last night's performance was a joke, but ultimately they won. And the phrase that I kept being hit with was, winners win, losers complain. And ultimately I can't disagree with it. They're top of the league, and it's really annoying, and I hate it. And this is, to me, it's a football issue in the Premier League.
Oh yeah, it's not just Arsenal, is it? Like, everyone started doing it, and I think this season particularly, and maybe even in the last 3 or 4 months, the entertainment value in football's, or the Premier League's, gone right down, and everything's more like functional, percentage based, stats based. So like even just watching Brighton, like some of the stats for Herzl is actually quite good, but actually watching us, it's been horrible sometimes this season.
It's all Jules as well, isn't it? And I think that's where, like, maybe my love for watching Brighton play under Gus Poyet, for example, under Oscar Garcia is a little bit more, but then particularly under Potter and under Roberto De Zerbi, in comparison to probably my thoughts under Fabian Hertzler, where it's been a lot more duels based, it's been a lot more aggressive. But then I suppose I kind of counteract that and look at the Prem in general. It's just a lot more of that style of play. Yeah. And I think it's just a dangerous territory for the Premier League right now. I think Fabian Hertzler was spot on in terms of the fact that they were wasting too much time and the fact that the officials do nothing about it.
And that's the biggest bit for me.
And it's the way they just sort of can do what they want.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And even when they were getting free kicks or we were offside, they were just putting the ball 10 yards further forward to take the free kick and taking a long time to do it. And the ref, they kind of point at their watch and say, hurry up, but they never do anything.
No.
And some of the player gets booked in maybe not till the 91st minute, where if they did it in the 3rd minute or the 30th minute, then people might think, oh, I better stop doing this. But they don't do it.
I agree. I agree. And that to me is where the root of the issue is.
Yeah.
Why, if they're not breaking the rules, because Warren Aspinall told me that last night, they're not breaking the rules. Okay, then they're exploiting the rules to its complete capacity. Then that's an issue in the Premier League. Sort it out. But if they're not going to sort it out, because they're not going to happen, it's not going to happen this season, is it? It's gone too far for it to happen this season. I was watching the game yesterday thinking that is not the best version of a team that's winning the league this season. But then ultimately they are winning the league this season. So why? And I suppose I look back on, I think it was back in the old 80s days with Maradona, who used to win so much stuff and being the biggest cheat on the planet. Time wasting, cheating, the hand of God, for example. Jose Mourinho's Chelsea in 2008, where they were just an absolute pain to play against. But people still, the revisionism of that Chelsea team is that they were one of the best sides ever to play in the Premier League and to compete in as an English side. And a lot of these teams have disrupted the flow. Don't get me wrong, in recent years, we have had the likes of Man City's Pep Guardiola's Man City, should I say, where they just purest football in the league. But because no one can compete with City on that front, and I think that TalkSport alluded to that quite well, then someone else has come up and upset it again. So, I don't know. Winners win, losers complain. I get it. But for me, it's not football.
Yeah, I agree. But I think with Arsenal particularly, it's probably stemmed down to they have played football for the last 3 or 4 seasons. They've come so close to winning the league and thrown it away, been called the bottlers. And that's why they've resorted to this kind of football. Yeah. Because it works. And if they win the league, history books will just say they've won the league. It doesn't say how they done it. And same with Chelsea, they bought the face off of football. I think they conceded about 15 goals the whole season. But the record books just said Chelsea won the Premier League, and that's all that matters, I guess. And there'll be a generation of Arsenal fans, has it been 20 years since they've won the league? Yeah. That just have never seen Arsenal win the league. And now they're doing it. These tactics are fully justifiable. Yeah. And then you look at that Invincible season, where they drew how many games? Loads.
And that drawing of games was ridiculous, really. And I think they're out of all cup competitions as well. So there has been games where... and seasons where it's not always the best team in the league wins the league. I don't think Liverpool were necessarily at their best last season to win the league, to be honest. But ultimately, I think it's a football issue. And I think that after this season, they'll go and sort it out. They'll probably bring in some rules that they'll half implement, and then most of the bigger teams will get away with it more than the little teams will. But it's a shame. For me, it's a shame, I think, is how I'd word it. Because I look at a team like Arsenal, where they've got such a good squad individually. Good high quality squad, and you're sort of coming away from that not praising that squad at all. Yeah,
the amount of good attacking players that they've got some amazing attackers, and to play like that, and then I think half the time they were winning 1-0 with an XG of 0.01, weren't they? And it's just they weren't even a threat.
No.
But they never really played to be a threat. They just played, I guess, to stay in the game rather than go out and win it.
And set pieces.
Yeah. But actually, I thought at Brighton, we actually defended all the set pieces and corners really well yesterday.
So did I, actually. I thought from a Brighton standpoint, we were actually a lot better in comparison to how we have been. I think we put up a fight. Yeah. And I think we've seen that in the last 3 games. I know we haven't covered all 3 games, and we will do towards the end of the podcast. But I think we've put up more of a fight. Whether that's it seems like the senior leaders has really stepped up. Obviously, we've seen it with Milner and Duncan the last few games, but they are out yesterday. But I think you can see it across the squad that there's certain individuals in that team that's trying to get the best out of each other. I liked the fact that Fabian Hertzler did show a little bit more emotion yesterday, something that I've been very critical of him. And, you know, even though I think that maybe it turned a bit sour towards the end, I think he almost sounded a bit bitter when you listened back to it this morning. I think at least he's shown something else than opposed to just togetherness, take the positives, next game sort of thing.
Yeah, I've said exactly the same. And then that bit of passion that he's shown has made me actually warm to him. And it's taken 18 months or whatever it is to like just not be that robotic answer to every single press conference. So, like, just to moan about Arsenal's tactics, which probably made them time waste even more because we called them out before the game even started. Yeah. So I think, and then I can't remember the stat came out this morning that it took them like 31 minutes to restart the game, which is the most that they've taken all season. But I think that's probably deliberate because Hertzler's called them out. And
that's what I'm thinking as well, because I thought an Arsenal fan told me this morning that it was almost like your manager sowed the seed to begin with so that he could just drill home the point, but not actually do anything to counteract it because he knew he was going to lose the game anyway. So let's try and get the fans against them a little bit. And in which case it probably worked because all of the Brighton fans were angry. I think the atmosphere last night was actually really good.
Yeah, I think it's praise to Arteta here. He's probably for the first time united the whole Brighton fan base behind Hertzler.
Yeah. But then I suppose when you look at it on the other side of the fence, it's like, well, at least they've tried to do it. It's still not worked. And then Arteta's come out and sort of just gone, what a surprise. And I guess it depends on which side of the fence you look at it, really. I think from my point of view yesterday, I was right up for it. Yeah. And I was genuinely buzzing. Like, for the first time in a game for ages, I was actually like very, very up for it. And I was it was just one of those games where it felt like going back to old football for me. I was actually up for a game. And it feels like a long time since going to the Amex and being up for a game. I don't know what it feels like for you, but there's been a lot of boring games at the Amex. And I just think on the back of a 2 wins in a row and actually being up for a game it made a change to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think because we knew there was a potential of mucking up their title challenge as well, which is maybe because Hertzler did start the beef with Arsenal that we thought, we were in for the chance, but then the starting 11 came out and I was a bit less optimistic. Yeah. But then I thought the first half hour particularly, we were much, much the better team than Arsenal, and Hertzler said there was only one team trying to play football. I agree with that. And to come away with nothing, I think we were very unlucky, but then we didn't really create that much.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
If Belieber scored in the first minute, which he probably should have done, then a whole different ball game.
I'll tell you what, Belieber's chance, that's a big one. I think Weafer's as well was pretty big. I think he should have done better with that. But Belieber's, he's just got to power that home, I think. The chip was, I don't know, was it one of those where he was trying to, he was caught in two minds maybe?
It went really high and it didn't need to.
Yeah.
So just that was a pretty easy chance, I thought. And then, if we go 1-0 up, then Arsenal can't sit back and time waste. So
yeah, agree. There was definitely chances for us in the first sort of, I want to say 15 minutes. We started the game quite fast. Hopefully Matoma's all right as well, because it looked like he got a stud to the ankle.
Yeah, he was limping quite bad.
It looked a bit nasty, that. So hopefully he's all right. And the one praise I will give of a Brighton player a lot, I think one of them is Belieber. Yeah. I think Belieber was really good, and I still don't understand why he gets subbed off all the time, because instantly you take him off and we look worse every single time he comes off the pitch. It is really, truly mind-boggling. But at the same time, I want to say Buscagli was so good.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I said he was our best player by far.
He was.
And until he basically couldn't walk, he was so good. Like, just the interceptions, his physicality, his tackles, and just apart from a couple of wayward passes, he was really solid, I thought.
That's why I wanted to mention Buscagli, because I was I wouldn't say critical. I was unsure. Yeah. I didn't know if he was exactly the player that I thought he could be. And I didn't really know what to expect, in all honesty. But what he showed me yesterday, I was very impressed. I thought he was up and down really well, defensively very solid, and he just tireless engine. Yeah. And I thought that's exactly what you want from a defender that's standing in for your captain and you're missing somebody. So I was really happy with his performance.
Yeah. And the one thing I found really weird with Buscagli is he was taking our corners.
I didn't even clock that until you say it. Fair enough.
Why is our centre-back taking corners?
When we first got Buscagli, my first thought of a player was someone that's good with the ball at his feet, going to be suspect nearly every time ball goes over the top because of his height. I thought that was it. That was sort of the player we had. I did not expect like a warrior sort of performance from him, someone that's going to keep going even when he's absolutely battered with cramp, and like hopefully nothing worse than cramp is the fingers crossed, because he looked very done at the end. But it was just one of those performances again from a player that is probably not as fancied, and I think I actually did the same. See, I can admit when I'm wrong. I thought I didn't see it in Van Hecker either to begin with.
Yeah.
You remember when he first came?
Yeah, his debut at Leicester was really
He's
bad.
really poor, and I was like, oh God, what's this? And he's been one of my favourite players the last few years, and he still is. And yeah, I've always mentioned Van Hecker because actually, I rewatched the full 90 of that Brentford game on their channel. They upload the full channel. Don't worry, it wasn't dodgy or anything. And I rewatched it, and just every single time it went forward, Van Hecker. And I tell you, it's such a funny way of watching football, because you're watching it with no emotions.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's probably one of our best crossers of the ball as well. He gets in that spot about 25 yards out on the right hand side of the box and whipping them in. And he set up Hinchelwood a couple of times yesterday, and then. Going back to the Brentford game, some of the blocks he did at the end, the last-ditch tackles were unbelievable.
Yeah,
I think for me he's our player of the season, or maybe Ferdy, but that probably means one of them leaves if they do win the titles.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're gonna have an interesting summer regardless. I think there's still question marks for me. I don't think we're like exactly in the clear and settled yet, but I do think that the last couple of performances have been better, and I can't. Say that they haven't. I'll give a lot of credit yesterday where it's due. I think we were really up for it. The fight was there. We didn't just roll over and sort of let them do it. But unfortunately, we still didn't win the game, which is annoying. The game before that, what was the last week's game?
Forest game.
Forest. Yeah. That was a game where, again, I thought Forest had it was a mad sort of first 15 minutes. I probably expected more from Forest in that game. I thought Vitor Pereira is actually going to be a decent manager. And they just showed nothing at all after the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's the same. I thought, especially because I think the results went their way the day before, where if they'd won, they would have lifted themselves out a little bit more. And after that first 20 minutes, again, you said, didn't really threaten, I don't think. So
no, but we're fast starters in that game as well. So that was a game where it's similar to Brentford. We fast started most of those. I think first 10, 15 minutes, we've actually learned how to start playing football. We sort of go quiet for a bit after that, and that's what I noticed at Brentford. We started quite quick. We did the same at Forest, and then we sort of have this funny 20 minutes where just nothing really happens. Yeah. And I think the Brentford one was maybe a bit slower in the sense of probably to about half an hour or so. Nothing really too much happened, but again, we come out of the blocks well, and it just kind of fills us out from that point onwards. I think Arsenal obviously are a different kettle of fish to Brentford and Forest, so I can't judge it quite on that extreme, and you're always up for the bigger games a little bit more than you are the smaller ones. But I don't know. I think there's definitely some positives to take out of those, to be fair. There's been more positives in the last few weeks than there have been for probably the last few months, to be honest. Yeah,
I'd say it's like after the Palace and Everton games when the crowd proper turned on Fabian, I thought there's no way back for him, but I think he's kind of done it in a way where the win against Brentford was a massive surprise to everyone. And Forest, I thought we probably should win that one because it is a team at the bottom at home, which is normally our banana skin, but we did it. And then Arsenal said we just didn't want to roll over and let them win, and we didn't. So those last 3 games, 6 points, that's more than I expected. So I'm pretty happy with that return.
The only thing I'm a bit sceptical over, and obviously I think Baleba did have a really good game, but it's more the treatment maybe of these bigger players that are starting to worry me. I don't know if you saw last night, but João Pedro got a hat-trick for Chelsea. Liam Rossini called him an absolute superstar. He went through a bunch of superlatives about him, and it's everything that I'd always praise João Pedro for. I thought he was a fantastic player, and I stand by it. And I kind of want him to do well in the sense because I know that I'm not crazy and I know what I saw when all of the Brighton media were posting saying that it was an excellent deal for us. And I was like, what planet is that an excellent deal for us? And you got a hat-trick last night, and it kind of reminded me at the end of last season where everyone started blaming him for how it all went wrong. And I was like, I just can't help but feel like it wasn't just him. And it's kind of similar to now, where there's a few players that either coming towards the end of their contracts or getting towards the end of the season. There are players that are going to be linked with big moves. And I'm kind of just thinking, have they been necessarily treated at the best way they could have been and dealt with in the best way? I think in the case of, Jorginho's desperately lacking in confidence. If I could be really kind to him, he's lacking in confidence. because he's not showing great performances right now. Veltman's odd for me. I think Baleba, I think he's had a good game yesterday, but again, been out the team, subbed off in the first halves, subbed off at half time. I just think that the treatment, remember, they're like 20 years old, these players. I don't know. I just feel like we don't deal with the younger players as well as we used to. And that's maybe why we get more joy out of the likes of Milner and Dunk, etc., because they're the more experienced heads.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's I think Herzl has seen that, and he's turned to the old guys for the Brentford game, and we got a result, and shock horror, unchanged team for Forest. And then the same 2 goal scorers, Gomez and Welbeck. So, I think he's realised the inconsistency with our youngsters, which are a club that's based on like getting these youngsters in, building them up and getting them first team ready and ready to sell on for big money. It hasn't really worked in that respect this season at all. So we've turned to Milner and whoever else. We've got Gross, Welbeck, Dunk, all the old guys are in, and it's worked, and the game management seemed a bit better. And like I said, Forest wasn't too much of a challenge to see the game out because nothing really happened. And Brentford, we did really well. So yeah, I think the old heads has been key. But maybe I never really saw that coming. No,
it is odd, to be fair. It's a really weird thought because like we're the team that's praised on like young talent, and we've had, I think, the oldest starting 11 for 2 or 3 of those games. It is really odd. But yeah, we'll see what happens towards the end of the season. But there's definitely some things to take away from those. I personally think. But I'll get back to the Arsenal points just quickly, because I wanted to say about Arteta and all those comments and stuff. And do you think that he's trying to play this like villain aspect sort of thing in terms of trying to win them the title? Do you think he's trying to be, I don't know, there's something to me that's just a bit cringy about it all for me.
I find him the most insufferable manager.
That's what I mean.
Division.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it. That's what I was trying to say, but without actually saying it.
But I said, like, he's gone from starting his Arsenal career as manager, being hated by the fans and then wanting him out, to being so close to winning the title, playing good football. So now he's turned to this, and that this kind of aspect of being this villain kind of goes with the remit of how they're playing. So it kind of goes together, and everyone hates it apart from Arsenal fans, don't they? So
the bit that I can't live with is I'll never forget how he spoke about Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
And like, I just find that mental. Like that whole time, he just backed him up. And this is my channel, so I can say it's fine. And he just backed him up throughout the whole thing. Great character, he called it. He called him a great character. I just find that baffling. Like, and everyone just kind of forgot about it, And there's just little things like that for me which I say little thing, massive things like that for me, which that's kind of why I wanted to beat Arsenal yesterday more than anything else. That's why I didn't want them to win the title, because I just remembered how you acted with all that stuff. It's disgusting, really. And I want them to flop, but I just don't think they will. I don't think City are going to do it. They've dropped points yesterday to Forest. So I just can't see it,
Yeah, I don't really think City deserve to win the title either. So, but just kind of pinned our hopes on them going on this big run, and Arsenal do violate again. But I think Bart Verbruggen might have become the most hated man in football yesterday after handing Arsenal the title.
Yeah, literally.
So, I tried to defend that carrying in, but everyone said that was a huge deflection. I don't think it was. It didn't really change the direction of the ball, and it's gone straight through his legs. So he knows it was a cock up. So
yeah, true.
And we didn't quite do enough to get a goal.
No, it's a big deflection on it, to be fair. I don't like to get on goalkeepers' backs with stuff like that, because I spent enough time with Toby in this room, to be fair. Right, let's get some words from a bunch of, to be honest, we've got Arsenal fans and we've got Brighton fans for this one. I'm going to feature the Arsenal fan first, just because it's Cecil from AFTV. He's a good friend of mine. Appreciate him sending in. So let's just see. What? Let's just see what he said. All right, let's try again, shall we? Let's just see what he said.
Right. Yesterday's game, obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I'm smiling. Top of the league now, 7 points clear from City with 1 game in hand. Obviously, I was at the Amex yesterday. Listen, style of play wasn't great. Wasn't the most entertaining game from Arsenal. I must admit that. Fair play to Brighton. They came with high intensity. They went for it. But winners do what winners do. We get the win, and yeah, we're doing what we're champions elect right now. We're going for it, and we have to do everything we can to win the game. Now, Hertz's comments really disappointed me, if I'm honest. Sour grapes to you, my friend. I liked you when you first came into the league, young, exuberant manager, but then I just became annoyed at some of your comments. I don't like the whole only one team come to play and all these things, and how many times have you ever seen a goalkeeper go down 3 times in a game? Funny enough, Mr. Hertzler, I went back to some of your press conferences. Do you remember when Rice got the red card at the Emirates? You said clear red card. Clear red card. And then do you remember when João Pedro headbutted Saliba when they was going up for a header and he got a penalty? You didn't really complain about what was fair. Have you ever seen this in the Premier League before given? I'm sorry, my friend, we're going for a title. Rules are rules. The keeper wants to go down and has to stop the game, doesn't have to come off the pitch. That's part of the rules, my friend. Shame. Sometimes it goes against you, sometimes it goes with you. You know that one. You know it one as well.
A very happy Cecil is what I'll say. Thank you, mate, for sending that in, I think. It's a good message, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, he's an Arsenal fan, so he's going to be happy. But yeah, I think, what do you think of the Arsenal fan reaction to what Fabian said?
I think they can say what they think because they've won still, which makes it easier to fight back. But he's admitted there they weren't pretty to watch, and like Raya, they said about the keeper going down 3 times. Like, he went down, I think he dived to his right, landed on his right shoulder, and got treated for injury on his left.
He's one of the worst for it, isn't he? The ones that come to mind, right? And I'll try and keep this as unbiased as possible. Raya is one of the worst for it, 100%. Emi Martinez, 100%. Jordan Pickford, 100%. And now we're struggling. I don't think I'm not necessarily saying it's an absolute, like, not an Arsenal thing there, because I can't think of many others now.
No, it's a league problem now, and it's because they get away with it, so they can do it.
There's too much protection on goalies, right? 100%.
Like they had, after that half an hour, I can't remember which player went down. I think it might have been Hincapie, and then like the whole Arsenal team went over to the dugout into the technical area.
It's pathetic, wasn't it?
Team talk, that shouldn't be allowed.
No. Yeah, do you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that one, because that for me was the worst of the worst, I think. It was I think Matt made the point on BBC Sussex yesterday. You don't know if a player's injured or not. And that's so dangerous. You know, we covered it about the head injuries before and how dangerous it is. And even if it's just something as minor as a twist of his ankle, if someone's actually twisted their ankle, look what happened to Conor Bradley for Liverpool. I think that was against Arsenal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's another thing where he got picked up by...
But he actually had damage done. He was actually a write-off. He was injured. But he got dragged up. And like, it happened with us at the Amex when I think... Who did we play at the Amex when there were so many head injuries faking? And it drove me mad. I want to say
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, it was. I think. And either way, it was. Yeah. And Veltman dragged up. Was it Jimenez? And I think from what Bournemouth fans told me, that was actually a head injury. But from everyone else in the ground, we're going at him saying, "Get up." I don't need to say much else. And I think that's what sort of thing is what one drives mad, one about head injuries, but 2 about injury faking in general. You don't know if a player's injured. And that's for me where the Premier League needs to come in and say, look, there needs to be some sort of middle ground here, because players need to take accountability 100%. But I agree with Cecil's points that it will come round. There'll be days where Brighton get it as well. Gomez was faking head injuries last week, and I'll call him out while we're on it. And I thought that was pathetic, because he did not touch his head. He went down like this. So I will call that Diego Gomez. Thanks for the goals, but I don't like that. And it will come around at swings and roundabouts. But ultimately, it's a Premier League problem. And I think that needs to end for all parties. I'd rather see Gomez get sent off for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or anyone for that. There's a picture come up on Twitter that someone's taken off this injury and the Arsenal team talk. So there's not one Arsenal player that's they're concerned for their teammate.
No,
they're all in their team talk trying to get back into the game, which we were on top of at the time. Which is you can't allow that.
Yeah,
you just can't allow that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Right, we've got one from Izzy here. She's a Brighton fan. Recently joined the writers chat in the Talk Seagulls group.
Morning, Ryan. Hopefully I'm not too late. I'm disappointed with the result, but I do think it was more misfortune on our part rather than playing bad. I think people have been very heavy on the blame for Hertzler over the last few weeks, but I don't think you can put much on it here. I mean, the ball being out for as long as it was, absolutely ridiculous. I think Arsenal, from their perspective, there's nothing impressive about time wasting your way to your first league title in over 20 years. And I find it very reminiscent of England in Euro 2024. Everyone wants football to come home. Everyone wants England to win that title. But the way in which England were winning games, 1-0 scrappy wins, it wasn't particularly impressive. And when you got to the final, you thought, oh, of course we want to win. But if we had have won, I think we'd have looked back at that tournament and gone, well, it wasn't in very nice fashion. And I think if Arsenal fans are honest with themselves, when they look back, if they do win, they'll look at this season and go, well, it wasn't particularly impressive. And perhaps it would be more of a acknowledgement of their achievement from neutrals if the ball wasn't out for half the game every match. I remember when we were playing the likes of Liverpool and City, the years that they dominated, and you'd get to play them and you'd know, and you're like, they're just a really, really good team. Whereas you watch Arsenal, and Arsenal fans are worried about going to these games because they know that it's going to be scrappy, they know it's going to be tight. And I think that speaks volumes. So yeah, disappointing not to get a win. I did think we deserved more from the game, but positive signs. And looking at the Sunderland game, I was filled with a lot of nervousness about it a few weeks ago, whereas now I'm feeling a lot more positive heading into that.
I mean, thank you, Izzy, for sending. But I think she's pretty spot on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mostly.
Yeah, just like I said, well, a little bit I disagree with. If they win the title, Arsenal fans won't care how they played.
They'll have a parade anyway, won't they?
Yeah, they've won the title. But,
yeah, true.
Yeah, but yeah, just like I said that before, they've got loads of attacking talent, and to not use them, like how they should do, is criminal. But
yeah,
I don't want to keep going on about Arsenal. And
yeah,
but yeah, like we played well again. I said, like she said, like we deserve something out of the game. I completely agree with her there. And like Arsenal, I think they thought they were in a game where we didn't roll over and die, which I like. So that's given me more positivity as well going into the Sunderland game. But maybe this break will help us and a few bodies recover and we can get a result at Sunderland.
Nice. Let's get one from Alfie.
Yeah.
Hi guys, so just wondering, with what we saw yesterday, it wasn't pretty at all. But does it worry you that, you know, with the way they're playing and the way they're probably going to win the Premier League, you know, with not just the way they play, but their on-pitch antics as well, does that worry you that that might start a general trend in football where this becomes the norm?
I think it already has.
Yeah, I think maybe the transition from tippy-tappy nice football's been and gone and it's kind of escaped us and we haven't gone with the times and maybe that's why we are down the league. But we've always been quite a naive, weak team, whoever's been the manager, so just even more so this year, and that's kind of shown why we are down the bottom half of the table rather than, well, we're not that far off of Europe either, but it just shows that maybe a young manager, a young team, we are naive and we haven't like woken up to the fact that people play like this and know how to do something against it.
All right, ONBHAFC as well. I'm just going to rattle through some of these. Sorry I can't go through every one and do analysis, but ONBHAFC.
I think Fabian Hertzler's reaction to the Arsenal game was quite bizarre. Obviously, he spent the pre-game press conference making comments about Arsenal's sort of general strategy this season to build the narrative, and you know, pretty much from the start of the game, he was trying to put pressure on the fourth official and referee to sort of keep the game moving, which is understandable. However, when you're a manager that talks about, you know, marginal gains, key moments, fine margins, etc., it's difficult to start throwing your toys out the pram when another manager's doing exactly that, just in a sort of different way. And yes, it's unethical to sort of football and it's not nice to watch, especially from like a neutral perspective. However, until the rules change, and they do need to change, but until they do, Arsenal are just sort of exploiting loopholes in the game, and you know, ultimately it's up to the referee to be officiating the game, not Fabian Hertzler. He should be focusing on the team and coaching. So, yeah, I suppose it's nice to see a bit of emotion out of him, but I just find it quite a bizarre one to sort of go on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a counter argument there, isn't there?
Yeah,
Brighton fan.
Yeah, just said, well, we all know that Arsenal were a better team than us.
Yeah.
And to go in expecting a result wasn't in many people's minds. So it's just, we lost 1-0 to Arsenal. That's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just how they've done it has riled everyone up.
Yeah, agree. And he said about Fabian's comments in the press. I think it's a tough one for me because I like the fact he's shown some bits. Some of it I like. I liked when he called out Arsenal originally, because I thought someone needs to say something at some point about the state of football. It's not just Arsenal say, it's football. Someone needs to say something about it. But ultimately, when you're the manager complaining in the press after a game, and I've been called up for less than that. I've been called up for less than that. I can say that. That I don't know. I feel like as a fan, you can kind of get away with complaining because that's what fans do. But when you do complain about a fellow professional, I genuinely don't reckon I've seen another manager go in as much as he did against another manager. I think the only reason to say that is because it maybe just harms you a little bit. If you come away with the result, then yeah, go out and complain. I think when you've lost the game, you've got the constant thing of you didn't win though. You didn't win though. You didn't win. You're not going to win that argument. It was like, why didn't you on the pitch? Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. So then it's like
that's all my notifications in Twitter are.
Yeah.
You've lost. How many league titles have you been
exactly.
playing for?
So you can't. That's the thing. From a fan's point of view, you argue that down the pub. You argue that in the stands. You argue that on Twitter, whatever you're on. But as a manager, you just it's an argument you're not going to win. Yeah. I say I don't mind a bit of passion, but I think as a fellow professional, it's just not. It's not professional, and it's also not. I don't know how to explain it. There's ways around winning, and if you know and you've said it before the game that they're going to come there and do that to you, as have many other teams to us this season at the Amex, then you know what you're gonna be in for. Okay, maybe you're trying to get the fans against it, but then you've got to kind of back it up on the pitch, create more chances, do something, find a way around it. If you're not going to, then maybe don't complain about it in the media afterwards. It's probably my reaction to Owen. If you're to find some sort of middle ground there between arguing against it, arguing for it, I think the middle ground is unprofessional, yes. I agree with some of his points. I think there's too much time wasting, but I think, there's a league issue with it. Arsenal are the one of the worst for it, but back it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with that. Just no. We come away with a defeat again. And again, we've played against a team like that and we haven't got a result.
Yeah.
So once we learn how to do it, then we can come up with something and back it up and scream about it in the media.
Agreed, 100%. We've got a message from Yali, a group of fans here sent in a message, so I wanted to watch the video. So
Come on, Brighton!
That's it. Okay, fine. Well, that's, you know what? Love it. Fair play. We'll just finish on. We'll finish on Matt's then, and we'll wrap up from there.
Last night, I think we did all we could. To be honest, I don't think there wasn't really a world in which I saw us getting a result. Any sort of momentum that we tried to create in the game to create chances was just halted by the fake injuries and the time wasting and everything like that. It was borderline impossible. To be fair, I thought that Matt's Weaver header would have been in, and that would have completely changed the dynamic of the game. But it's just anti-football. There's not really much you can do about that. It's quite literally just bending the rules, finding a loophole. I think in terms of Hertzler, what he said in his press conference, I don't see anything wrong with that personally. I can definitely see how you will. Because you're kind of egging it on a little bit, but that's still no excuse for Arsenal to play the way they did and play in the cowardly way that they did. In terms of the actual game setup, I thought it was good, and I'm more than happy for him coming out and saying, "Look, we tried to play our way, we tried to play football, and we were the only ones trying to play football." I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered most of it.
It's working for Arsenal, disrupting us and disrupting other teams. They get away with it. It gets some results, and it's probably going to win them the title. So why not do it? Painful game. But some reasons to be positive, I guess. We got the last couple of games in there. Gomez scored a wonder goal. I say wonder goal. Matt Sells helped him a little bit. Got a good strike though. And yeah, we're
somewhat back on track. I wouldn't say we're back on track because that's a bit premature, I'd probably say. But there's some reasons to be positive. I think it'll get us over the line to the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a step in the right direction, and we've got results where we weren't looking like we're going to get anything anywhere. So
get to the end of the season,
positive.
Reassess, see what's going on, make some signings, see what happens as well with the coach.
Yeah.
But until that point, I think we're safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully Spurs go down. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I know. I kind of want Palace to win tonight, so Spurs.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't want Palace to win any game, but it would be hilarious to have that massive ground in the Championship, wouldn't it? Well, it's all right. They get extra chance now, the extra playoff games, so it might give them half a chance to get back up. But no, Brett, thank you very much for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you on again. And thank you for having us in the Caxton.
Yeah, love it. I absolutely love it.
Shout out to the new cameraman behind as well. Got Jamie in the background. We'll leave a link to his stuff in the comments. A little substitution for Mia, who's currently probably going to edit. Right, we'll see you all very soon. After, well, it's a bit of a break now, but we'll see you after then. And up the Albion and goodbye.